Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move today in Europe. I'm Tom McKenzie with Caroline Hepker. We're joined by Bloomberg's equities reporter Joe Easton. And Joe, a bad morning for Dr Martens. Is there trouble afoot? Did you write that, Joe?
I didn't, but I wish I did, because that's fantastic. Shout out to James in production for that, the producer, because that was brilliant. But Dr Martens putting the boot in this morning. That stock down today. This is on the tariff news that we got overnight. So the big news is the Southeast Asia countries getting these huge tariffs announced by Trump and the US. So a 76% rate slapped on countries, including Thailand and also Cambodia. Now, Dr Martens in particular, they make a lot of their boots over in Laos, which is another country that's had a big tariff put on as well. I believe that was 76%
Not in Camden Town.
as well.
I could have sworn they were made in Camden Town.
Right?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was trying to work out why you were starting with tariffs there and what the connection was to DMs.
So Laos, I am pronouncing that correctly, aren't I?
Laos, yeah.
So they make a lot of those boots over in Laos, and therefore the stock is down around 5%. Pandora makes 95% of its jewellery in Thailand, and the shares of those are down around 2% this morning as well. So a lot of impact from those tariffs.
Yeah, well, most of the kind of shoemaking industry is in Asia for Europe, to be honest. In terms of European drinks makers, the reports that this EU-US trade deal may also be reached and that there would be a kind of carve-out for wine and spirits makers. Does that lift them? Yeah, so that is exactly what we're seeing today. So the reports that have come from Bloomberg and also Politico saying that the EU is seeking an exemption on the 10% rate for certain key products, including aircrafts and also wines and spirits. So today we're seeing Remy Cointreau gaining around 4%, Pernod up 4%, and Campari as well. Now, these are big reliefs for these companies, according to traders. So Pernod makes products like Absolute Vodka, Jameson Whiskey, and Remy with their main cognac business, and also Campari, which is, of course, the maker of Aperol. Those are the big brands, and they also sell a lot into the US. So given they're seeking exemptions, the EU seeking exemptions, that's boosting the entire sector today.
Okay, a different space. JPMorgan this time resuming an overweight recommendation on the commodities giant Glencore. Are investors cheering this backing from JPMorgan?
Yeah, so this is interesting because JPM's saying that they think Glencore could resurrect the idea of spinning off their coal business. So a couple of years ago we saw Glencore say they might sell their coal business because coal is kind of not so much used for energy, still used in steel making, which is where they do the business in coal. So there is a lot of value in coal still because it's used for metal making. But Glencore said a few years ago they would spin it off. They then decided they wouldn't. JPMorgan reckons investors are kind of getting itchy feet and kind of pushing for them to do this. Therefore, they recommend buying the stock to see around 20% upside, and Glencore shares rising 2.5% this morning following that JPMorgan overweight rating.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.